Colin, that's Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Very excited for a return to the postseason. Got that cushy schedule, and Burrow's out there saying we have everything we need. I'm seeing as many as 7 new defensive starters. Obviously, the Dexter Lawrence edition is a big one.
Well, they needed 7 new starters up front.
Couldn't stop anybody. Remember, there was a lot of chatter at the end of last season about Burrow, demanding a trade and being unhappy. We might have to put that on the shelf for a little bit because this schedule and the new talent they've got on the defensive front, if they don't win 10 games, Zach Taylor, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think people look at the Bengals and the Packers as 2 teams that kind of benefited from the schedule. They don't have a lot of back-to-back toughies. Again, Jaguars tough, then you get Miami. Ravens are tough, you get a bye. I mean, then you go to Kansas City's tough, but you get them at home. And the Ravens, you get them at home. This is screaming 11 wins. Yeah. I mean, it really is. Sometimes, we said this last year, the 2 easy schedules, New England, there's no question it benefited New England. They got a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's going to be a New England. They're not really a top 4 or 5 team, but they're going to win 10 or 11 games. I think the over's in play here simply because of the schedule. Go find 1 2-game stretch. I mean, 1 2-game stretch. I mean, again, Texans, week 2 at Houston, rough.
Maybe
they
that's
get a host Tampa before it, and they, play Steelers after it.
So we love prop bets on the show. You could bet in Vegas one of these props, last undefeated team. Now, the Bengals' first 5, you face Houston was a playoff team, Pittsburgh, Jags. People are going to be like, no, but I'm just telling you, this offense, those teams are not going to be able to hang with Burrow's offense. So I might take a flyer on Bengals' last undefeated team. Not all the odds are up yet. No, but it could be interesting this year.
Yeah.
All right, Cincinnati Bengals fans, let's get into it. There's a lot I want to cover here, and this schedule looks pretty fantastic. That only reinforces how confident I am that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be outstanding this season, better than I think most people are really grasping, for a number of reasons. Before I go any further, Bengals fans, please don't forget to subscribe and watch the full video. When you do that, the view counts explode. Subscriber numbers go through the roof. And it's not about chasing views or chasing subscribers. It's about being able to create Cincinnati Bengals content that people genuinely want to watch and engage with, so I can keep producing unbiased, grounded, authentic Cincinnati Bengals content. That way we can have honest, real discussions. It's actually kind of wild because we always talk about Joe Burrow as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. It's always Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, and Burrow, right? The Big 4. And for whatever reason, I guess maybe because of injuries or who knows what, the conversations around the Bills, around the Ravens, around the Chiefs are infinitely richer, infinitely more in-depth, infinitely more intense. I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to re-establish who the Cincinnati Bengals are with Joe Burrow. And here's the thing, it's actually so awesome because I've done a lot of these deep dive videos that are always 30+ minutes long. I put together really detailed statistical analyses. Graphics, highlights, all that kind of stuff. And those videos don't always get the most views because they're really in-depth and really long. They're really only for the people who are locked in and genuinely care about that level of detail. I don't do it for the views. Sometimes people say, oh, you're doing this just for the views because you hate so-and-so, and I'm like, not at all. These get way fewer views. I do it for the people who I know are actually interested in this type of content. I just made a Joe Burrow deep dive video, about 32 minutes long, that showed how he arguably had one of the greatest seasons of all time, and we barely even talk about it. Just how special he really is. And the engagement, the conversations, and the views were higher than any of the Buffalo Bills videos I've done for Josh Allen or Mahomes or whatever. So, Cincinnati Bengals fans want to be there, right? They want this. So it's just awesome to see. It really, really is. When I look at this schedule, I've been having a really tough time analyzing schedules in general. In years past, the way I look at a schedule like this is I identify the easy wins and the easy losses. That's not to say you're guaranteed to win all the easy games, or that those easy games are actually easy matchups themselves. It's just that you should be the better team, so you're going to win. And for any of the tough matchups, like if you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, which you are, back in old days when people had a bit more confidence in them, it's just a tough game. So I'll give you the loss. That gives me a kind of baseline of where we stand. The reality is that under that logic, and I do find that approach getting harder these days because of how competitive these games are, I see a lot of games where I think, you're in a position to win this. You should win this game. And if you don't, I'm going to be so disappointed and frustrated. It's not even just the obvious ones like, of course you better beat the Colts or the Saints. No, it's some of these other games as well. Like the Buccaneers, right? Or the Falcons in Spain, is that the game in Spain? Yeah. Those types of games too. You're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are clearly not the version they've been in years past. We'll see what they look like in Week 14. Maybe they regain some momentum. It doesn't matter. They're not the big, bad, scary 2021 Chiefs. I expect you to rise to the occasion and handle business, right? To take care of it. At the bare minimum, win 4 games in the division, 3 at the absolute lowest. You're not letting Shador Sanders or Deshaun Watson beat you in Week 18. And if they do, it's because you're resting all your starters because you've already secured everything. This is a genuine schedule where the Bengals can position themselves to be the first-place team in the NFL. I'm pretty neutral about strength of schedule and how much it actually matters. I've expressed this take before. But it's very much like, if it can be leveraged to become the number 1 seed, then that matters to me more than not. Outside of that, it doesn't move the needle as much. Because the whole thing is, you're either a great team or you're not. You're either good enough, and you can either win these games or you can't. You're either able to win the Super Bowl or you can't. But if it can be used to leverage an actual number 1 seed, first round bye, home field advantage, all of that, well, then that matters a lot more to me than anything else. More than, oh, look, they had to play the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and the Bills back to back to back, that's such a rough stretch. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, find a way to do it. You have to do it in the playoffs, so you have to do it in Week 6, 7, and 8 as well. Find a way. So here we are with this schedule. Absolutely. Colin says this is like a 10, 11, 12 win team. And yeah, if you don't lose to any of the teams you're supposed to beat, maybe one, there's always at least one, and you actually take care of the Steelers and the Ravens, then you are in an unbelievable position to potentially lock up that number 1 seed. To really set yourself up. And it's actually kind of perfect because right before making this video, I went back to that deep dive Cincinnati Bengals video I made. I was reading through some of the comments. Some people said that people don't realize that the defense is really why they won those playoff games and why they were able to get to the Super Bowl. And it's like, no, you just forgot what it's like to not have your defense be an absolute liability. As long as you have a defense that, dare I say, is an actual asset, you're good enough to literally get to the Super Bowl. When you just don't have your defense being a liability, you get to a Super Bowl. You get to an AFC Championship game. You're ready to compete. Joe Burrow had a 68.3% completion percentage, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 97.3 passer rating during that playoff run. And people say, oh, Mahomes had 11 touchdowns, Matthew Stafford had 9 touchdowns. Great. That's really interesting. Then you look at the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs, they were first and second with a 68% pass block win rate. That's higher than what the Philadelphia Eagles had in 2024, the year everyone said that offensive line was the most invincible, unstoppable line in the history of the universe. The Rams and the Chiefs actually had a higher percentage. And Joe Burrow? All the way at the bottom. 49%. 49%. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So even with a massive liability of an offensive line, as long as they just had a competent defense, the Bengals literally go to the moon. Could you imagine if they had a competent offensive line? Is it possible that Burrow could also put up numbers like Patrick Mahomes and Matthew Stafford? Of course. Would that have put them in an even better situation to actually win the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why I keep talking about the margins, what we're working with. That's why I went on that whole rant a couple of weeks ago about the Bengals, how they're the tiniest fraction away from being Super Bowl winners. It's ever so slightly. And it's just absolutely to the moon. That's where the Bengals are. Just ever so slightly. Just get rid of the devastating liabilities. Even with those devastating liabilities, you're still just a fraction away, as we just saw with that offensive line getting to the Super Bowl. Getting to the Super Bowl. The defense just wasn't absolutely horrendous. That's all it took. They didn't need a top 2 defense either. And then we see what the Rams and the Chiefs were able to do with the best defensive lines, number 1 and number 2 in the NFL. They got to the Super Bowl. They were able to get there. Obviously the Chiefs didn't win, but they were great teams. Great performances from their quarterbacks. It goes a long way. So obviously I want to see the offensive line continue to improve for Joe Burrow, obviously also just to keep him healthy. But really, all Joe Burrow needs is a competent defense. That's it. That's all he needs. He doesn't even need an amazing offensive line. Joe Burrow has arguably shown to be the best quarterback with the worst offensive line. He's shown to be the most resilient quarterback. If a bad offensive line out of any quarterback I personally come across. I'd love if anyone has a counter to that, I'd look into it more deeply. But out of all the deep dives I've done, all the stats, Joe Burrow's ability to be great with a bad offensive line is pretty exceptional. It's pretty unbelievable. And you can't just explain it away by saying Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Zach Taylor. No. So, his manipulation, his understanding of protections and where pressure is coming from, his pocket awareness, that's really what it comes down to. His pocket awareness and his ability to make literally any throw you could ever ask a quarterback to make, it's just so exceptional. So if you think, as long as they stay healthy, if you think this defense is just simply competent. Just simply competent. The Bengals have such an incredible chance to win the number 1 seed. First round bye. Home field advantage. Chilling until the divisional round. Boom. 1 game away from the AFC Championship game. That's the position. That's the position the Bengals are in. Competent defense, and they are in position to have the number 1 seed. That is that tiny little fraction I talk about. It's pretty awesome. Pretty exciting. So yeah. You're going to feel great. You're going to see quotes like Joe Burrow saying, "We have everything we need." And if that's true, you're the number 1 seed. If what Joe Burrow is saying is true, you're the number 1 seed. You're back, baby. Not only are you back in the playoffs, you are the number 1 seed. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow? Do you think you actually finally have everything you need? Is it true? Do my eyes deceive me? Do we actually have everything we need? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you be part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.